Okay, hi, welcome everybody. My name is Matthew Paveo. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of the Burlingame School District.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Marla Silversmith, and I'm proudly serving as the Superintendent of the Burlingame School District.
Hello, my name is Daisy Prado, and I am the mother of my third grade student at Roosevelt Mackenzie.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and I am a super duper smart third grader who loves space.
All right, we're so thankful to have you here today as we are going to tell you our journey, both personally and professionally, with supporting inclusive practices and supporting students of diverse learners throughout our educational process. So beyond labels and towards belonging, transforming education one mindset at a time. The Burlingame School District is located in Burlingame, California. We have about 6 elementary schools, 1 middle school. Currently, we have 3,200 students. We support students preschool through 8th grade. We are a diverse economic district. We have very affluent families. We also have about 27% students that are unduplicated, which means that they are unhoused. They might be socioeconomically disadvantaged or be also considered English learners. We also have a very small percentage of foster youth. We are diverse culturally. Our largest population is white, with the next population being Latinx, a large population of Asian being our Chinese population, followed up by Asian Indian. With that being said, we do have a diverse population of students that also represent African American, Pacific Islander, a large group of Turkish speakers coming in, Portuguese, and other learners. We have less than 10% of students that are receiving supports with an IEP process because we have a very robust response to intervention and instruction program, with many kids receiving that throughout all 6 elementary schools. Burlingame is a small, close-knit community with about 6 miles of radius around. It is, if you've ever been to SFO, you've flown in and out of our community. It is a walkable community, and every one of our students predominantly go to their neighborhood school. We do have 1 magnet school that supports students that are in a dual language program, which is a K-5 program. We are north of the Silicon Valley. Many of our parents are professional, educated, and we're a highly innovative and driven community. Our staff is also highly educated, very professional, and we are very big on welcoming everybody and making sure that our parent engagement community and everybody is educated along with us.
Okay, so our story begins in 2012 is when I came into the district, and we'd like to show you kind of our path through this our whole journey from where we began to where we are now. So in 2012 to 2016, we had a lot of great things going on with our district. Many of our schools, if not all of our schools at that point, were a California Distinguished School. We had multiple Golden Bell Award winners. One of our schools was even designated as a P21 model school for the country. Again, highly innovative, highly focused on achievement for all our students, and we're really driving a lot of new practices. It was an exciting place to be. Our students got everything from innovative design challenges to the latest technology tools. 3D printing was started here very early. Our teachers were given the freedom to bring in innovative practices and build off of standards curriculum to really drive our students in a really positive direction. At the same time, we really concentrated on the whole child. We have and still do have a robust music program. The arts are very, very important in our district. Our parent community is volunteering all the time, and lessons happen in the garden, and we have many different learning opportunities outside the classroom. Our students are also told and encouraged and taught to be leaders in the community, and are giving presentations about problems that they see in our district, and taught to be as innovative and on the cutting edge as possible. So with all that being said, you would think that our special ed department would be on the cutting edge as well. And in 2012 to 2016, our special ed room, you would think, would be on the leading edge of what it means to be innovative. And it was this. We have our special ed classrooms put out into portables, well away from the main building of our schools. And it's definitely not the most innovative spot. All of our SDC students with special needs were moved to 2 schools in the district at the time. The kindergarten through 2nd grade were at one school. And then when they got to 3rd through 5th grade, they had to move all the way across town to another school and work there. We had our moderate severe classrooms at one school in the district, K2, like I said, another at 3-5, and then a mild moderate were housed at both schools for the whole district. What that led to was students and families, teachers not being connected to this at all. So really, if you looked at our location of our classrooms, if you looked at where we put people in our district, we were giving a message of get out. This wasn't inclusion at all. We weren't close. And that's where we landed in 2016 to 2018. And that's where I had an interesting ask from a parent at my site. I was a principal at one of the sites that housed the SDC classroom, and had a student who came from North Carolina, actually, and joined our school and had a much different experience in North Carolina, and told me, look, we'd like our daughter to be included into the general ed classroom as much as possible. This is a 3rd grade student, much like Mackenzie, and was told, look, we'll even tell us what the parents even volunteered to do most of the work. The teacher was reading, I believe it was Peter Pan at the time, to her whole class. They said, we'll read it. We'll set our daughter up. She can go into the classroom. She can participate. The teacher even said, this is fine with me. I'll do it. We'll make it work. And my answer to them was, no, 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 that is not how we do it here. You need to get into the SDC classroom so you can get exactly what you need there. The family and I went back and forth. Me standing strong is what I thought we were supposed to be doing. Eventually, tragically, they left the school. But the silver lining in it got me thinking about asking the question one day when I kind of could settle myself and thought, why aren't we doing this? What is the hindrance, and why am I stuck my own self in this paradigm of not thinking that all students need to be included in the classrooms? We just need to adjust how we're doing it. And isn't that really what teaching is all about? So that moment, although tragic because the student had to leave our school, led to my reawakening on where we need to be with inclusive practices. Then there was another change in the district that helped me along and helped our district along. Dr. Silversmith, Marla Silversmith, came to our district, and I will turn it over to her.
To clarify, the student that left, it's because she moved. It's not because Mr. Paveo, Matt,
You're killing the drama.
not because Matt pushed her out or anything. So my story, I turned 49 this week, and I was born into advocacy. I am the baby born into a family of 3. Our oldest sibling has Down syndrome, and the day she was born, my mom, my dad were told she's a mongoloid, leave her in the hospital and go home, have more children. My parents had no idea what that even meant. My mom's dad, actually, who's a doctor, told my mom that, and then another doctor told her that. My parents had no idea what to do with that. So they picked up my sister and went home and raised her alongside my brother and I. By kindergarten, when I was 5, I was playing on the playground, and my sister at that time was going to a different school. They'd fought for her to be able to go to school, and a kid came up to me and made some comment, and he said, at least my sister's not a retard. I didn't know what that meant. It's the first time I'd ever heard the word. I did what any sibling does, and I punched him and went and found my mom and said, that kid just called Amber a retard. I didn't tell my mom that I punched him, but I did tell on him. And my mom, that's the first time I learned that there was something different with my sister. People would come up to my mom when I was growing up and say, how's your special child? My mom would say, which one? I have 3. So my whole life, that's kind of how I grew up. I just knew that she rode the long ride in a short yellow bus across town because I was raised in Sacramento and San Juan Unified, which is a very large district. So that was just kind of my lifestyle. But we are all within 3 years of each other and went through high school about the same time. She stayed in school until she was 22. She was the maid of honor in my wedding, and everybody loved it because she talked about playing Uno with my husband and how they danced to Michael Jackson and Madonna. And, you know, she is my kid's favorite aunt, and it's been their life. And it was interesting as an adult, watching as my kids tried to figure out about my sister too. But throughout my experience growing up, everybody said, you're going to be a great special ed teacher. You're going to be a great this. And I was like, I'm not doing that. With all of my accolades or degrees, the one thing that hangs on my parents' wall is my 2nd grade report card that says Marla needs to learn that life isn't fair. And Matt's laughing because anybody that knows me knows that that's who I am. I fight for the underdog. I always am the one that's like, okay, let's change. How do we get to yes? Let's fight that system. So when I first came to Burlingame, I was recruited out of being a special ed director to be an assistant soup. Matt and I clicked, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's change the story here. So we started to disrupt systems. We closed all the mild moderates in Burlingame the following year. We decided I came in 2017. We started just taking off the Band-Aids. So mild moderates were gone. Our students went back into every general ed classroom with supports. We started re-educating everybody, talking about how any student with an IEP or without an IEP, whatever their need was, is a student first. In Burlingame, we are all Burlingame students. Whatever support you need is the support you get. Not every kid needs a Band-Aid in that classroom, but every student needs something. So let's look at what that student needs to be successful. So we started really talking about that. Our teachers started really digging into information and looking at data and saying, wow, Mackenzie might need a big pencil, but Matt might need a special chair. Somebody might need to be able to use voice to text. We started really talking about what it looked like for students to be successful and what that is defined by. We started really talking about, at that time, all means all. It doesn't mean that we're leaving some kids behind. And that was very important to us. Classes started moving into the building. At that point in time, we started getting rid of portables. We used bond money and removed our portables, built new buildings, and we started thinking about making sure that we were building our buildings with all students in mind. What did it look like? Not just ramps to get into the building, but what does it really mean to have facilities that are welcoming? We also decided if our students are general ed students first and we get money for them being in general ed and in special ed, that we started rostering them. Every single one of our students in this district are rostered in a general ed class. So when we roster every student, no matter if they're in an ESN class or if they're in a resource class, no matter what, they have a general ed placement. That is where their role is taken every morning, even at the secondary level. And we are very proud of that. Students are always participating in all events. It is not an afterthought. It's not just field trips. It is everything. Every single event that takes place here, our students are included in, and it is thought of first. It is how are we having our students participate? And if they can't, we don't do it. We don't join it. We don't think about it. We start with our students first, and then we backwards map from there. It is a priority to us. It is not just about cost, it is about access, and it is about acceptability. It is very important. The big thing that we talk about is belonging. It is not just tolerance or acceptance, it is belonging. And again, we start with our students first, and then we backwards map out. Most recently, our students attended a large Special Olympics event with Unified Sports, and the 3rd graders were fighting over who was going. We had more volunteers than we could actually fit on 2 big buses. I mean, we don't have very many students in our ESN classes. We had 2 huge buses of general ed students or classes that went with them. It wasn't even general ed, it was their class, their peer mates that went with them with very few kids, including our big bear mascot, Teddy the bear went with them. It was amazing. And parents, so many parents, because these are our students. And that's very important to know. We have events like the chili cook-off. You will see every student here. Oh, Mac, you love the chili cook-off, don't you?
Mhm.
What's your favorite part?
When when I find my best friend
Yeah, that's your favorite part. It's pretty cool, huh?
How about dunking the teachers in the
and
water?
dunking the teachers in the water.
Dunking the teachers in the water. We all love dunking the teachers in the water. But everybody's included. If it's PE, if it's music, if it's APE, APE is a part of PE. We start with the inclusion component. It's not even inclusion. It's co-teaching. And that's very important to us. All of our students are a part of the Burlingame School District.
Okay, so we had this serendipitous moment where we were ready to move on things. Marla came in and we started moving. There was a big event in the world that kind of slowed us down for a few years. But back in 21, 22, everything started rolling again. And it started with us kind of getting around this quote that we understand that moving kids into back into the main building and putting kids onto every roster and including them in our events was part of it, but we needed to go even further. So now we needed to intentionally start planning for all students. So to do that, that is where supporting inclusive practices came into our lives. And Janelle Mercado and Kevin Schaefer came into our lives, and we had Janelle come out and start working with our staff at one school to really build this not only knowledge and about what to do, but how to do it. It was the next logical step. And it was where we came in with started with UDL. Teachers started talking about, directly talking about how to make a more inclusive school environment. And we started to see more inclusion all over our school. And at first, teachers were nervous, and at first there were difficulties, but we kept on the path. With Janelle's encouragement, with supporting inclusive practice encouragement, we kept moving forward every little step we took. And that's when a new student came into our lives, and we have, and she can speak to her experience. Ms. Prado.
So again, my name is Daisy and Mackenzie is my son. Ever since he was little, I just knew there was something different about Mackenzie. And I did what I believe every parent does, which you compare your child with, oh, my nephew doesn't do this, oh, my niece, and you start doing that. And that's, I believe, like a mistake that as parents we do, and we shouldn't. Like, if anything, I think that we should just focus on what it is that's different about him and try to get help. And for the first year or two, I was a little bit in denial, but finally when he was 3, I got him diagnosed. We went to Stanford and I was told that he was absolutely on the spectrum. And even though as a mother, I deep down inside knew there was something, I just didn't want to accept it, but I had to do what's best for him. So we did start early intervention at another, it's a school, is it community gate path? Yeah, yeah, that's part of the Burlingame School District. We went there for a year, and then he started doing TK in San Mateo, I forgot the school's name
It's
already.
okay.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah, San Mateo Park.
Good memory.
And he never had the school experience. It was online because of COVID. We lived in South San Francisco, very close to SFO, but we had a family emergency and we had to move to the Solano County area. And I won't mention the school, but he did go to first grade to a school there that was just horrible, very, very bad. And till this day, he tells me that he never wants to move there. He never wants to go to that school because it was just not a great school. They knew he was on the spectrum, but they weren't prepared for that. They didn't have the staff for special needs kids. And he did have a off and on one-on-one aide that was not professional, and she did hit him a couple times, and she would just tell me, that he's lying. But I told her that even though my son's on the spectrum, like, he's not dumb, he is a very smart kid. And thankfully we moved from the area. We moved back to this side of the Bay. I've lived in Burlingame for 3 years, but I've worked here for 20 years. But it's my first time actually living here. So I moved him here, and I really wanted for him to go to another school that was close to work, because I was like, it's right there, it's a block away, it's Washington, you know, but they told me that he was assigned to Roosevelt. And that was the biggest blessing, because at the previous school in Solano County, I had to fight for a one-on-one aid. I had to fight for just services for him, you know, speech and everything, and it wasn't given to him. And to my surprise, as soon as I filled out my paperwork for Roosevelt, I got a phone call, and they told me, Mackenzie starts this day. He has speech, he has OT, and I was just taken back. It was just an awesome thing for me, because I didn't even have to ask for anything or have that talk with anybody. It was already given to me. And it has been such a huge blessing for my son to come here. I was just telling Matt that every chance I get to talk about Roosevelt, I talk about the staff, the school, I brag all the time. We wear our Roosevelt Bears shirt every Friday, and my son and I, we go to downtown Burlingame, and people ask me, oh, how do you like Roosevelt? Oh, I just enrolled my son to XY school, and I tell them, oh, you know, cross over to our side, you know, our school is, and it's just been fantastic. You know, Matt was his principal for the first couple of years. Now we have Tara. Both of them have been fantastic. His teachers have been out of this world, understanding. They are just amazing. Every year, I feel like he's had the best teacher. His first grade teacher was Mr. Kuiper. He was awesome. Second grade teacher, Kathy Castle. I was like, it can't get any better than this, you know. And now in third grade, he has Megan Horan, which has been like a mother to him. She has been so understanding, so sweet, and they give him tough love, of course, also, you know, because my son, he's very, very smart, but his difficulty is his behavior. Sometimes he gets very upset. And Matt can tell you he's kicked Matt, he has kicked his assistant, you know, he gets very handsy. And that's something that as a mom, I'm working on to get a child psychologist for him, because we want to get to the root to find out what's causing these outbursts, you know. But academically, he is great. It's like a sponge in here. He has like the biggest sponge ever. He soaks everything in. He loves books. He loves reading. He just met his favorite author. Who did you meet?
Dave Pilkey.
Dave Pilkey, the creator of Dogman, and it was like the best day of his life. So he has all the Dogman books, all the Press Start books.
Not all.
Well, most.
Daisy, can you talk a little bit about like him being a part of the Roosevelt community?
Yeah.
Like what you feel like, because I know like I've seen you at the chili cook-off with them and stuff. Can you talk a little bit?
I try to have him go to almost every event, you know, that the school has. I want him to be just included in everything, you know, and he doesn't shy away from it. He loves going. He likes to participate. He told me he wants me to cook the chili this year, so I have to start working on my recipe. But he loves his chili cook-off. He loves the We Are Roosevelt night, where every parent, you know, come in with different dishes from different countries. He likes being a part of that. The science Olympiads, every event that the school has, Mackenzie loves, you know, and I feel that he is very included in everything. They never have I ever felt that they exclude him because he's different. Everybody is very welcoming. They're very awesome in including him, and he has his one-on-one aide that's with him every single day. Yeah, we feel very included, and we've never felt excluded from anything. And I appreciate you guys. And I always say, my mom has always told me to give thanks, you know, and I'm very grateful, very thankful. Everybody, principals, teachers, the staff, even people who aren't, you know, his teachers, like they know him. They see him down the street, Mackenzie, be it for good or bad, you know, but they know who Mackenzie is. He sometimes runs away and goes into the 4th grade class, the 5th grade class. Everybody knows him, but everybody really, really has a soft spot for him. Like, we feel very included, and I appreciate you guys for everything you guys have done for
He has a lot of friends here.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that brings up a really, the next kind of phase that the school went through, which was not only the staff, but our community at large, meaning parents and students, became far more inclusive themselves. And it just became it was just such a natural feel at the site that it became just part of who the school was, to be an inclusive place in your speak, like you've spoken to. So, and I thank you for sharing your story.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we moved, the site itself and the district was moving from all means all to all means each. We started making that transition to start thinking that we need to think even deeper about each individual student and what those needs were. But we still were running into one problem. So we had one staff of a district of 7 schools that was on the path, but we still had inconsistent views among the staff, the district staff. So we needed to get bigger. So that took another step. We needed to go district-wide. And in 2024, we started that process, and I'll let Marla tell you about that.
So we had another conversation with Janelle and Kevin, Matt and I, and we said, okay, our next step, we need to think about this deeper and differently. So again, we had Roosevelt moving forward, and our other 5 elementaries were talking about it and trying to figure out a bigger idea. And our one elementary or one middle school and then the district office, we were trying to figure out how to wrap our arms bigger and move everybody forward. So then they came up with, hey, do you want to be the first district to try out SIP academies, inclusive academies? And Matt and I leaned forward and we're like, we're in. What's it going to take? Let's do it. Let's do it. So we partnered with Supporting Inclusive Practices and dove completely in on doing inclusion academies for all 7 sites. And then I randomly, because I don't sleep at night, texted and I said, we're going to one-up it, and we are going to do all 7 sites, and our whole management team will also join, and we will do a district office one too. So then we started it. All 7 sites committed to 3 full days of work and planning and really deep thinking, including our whole management team. We also kicked off district-wide with a full day of professional learning with Kevin and Janelle at the beginning of the school year that 100% of our staff attended, and they will tell you it's one of the best professional learning days that they had. So if you ever get a chance to bring them in for that, 100% do it. And I'm sure Carmen and Thomas and everybody else do it too. But it was an amazing day. But our 3 days of inclusion academies were phenomenal. They asked us kind of, okay, what are your goals? And we said, we need to change some mindsets. We need to tell some stories. We need to build sustainability. We need to really change some vernaculars. I'm sorry, Mackenzie, I didn't mean to kick you. We need to change some language and help to build some infrastructure advocates. We need to set out plans. We need to make sure we have the people at the table to make sure we have the resources and the right items. But what it actually did, as we're getting ready to close down our school year, we had no idea what would come out of it and how much it would change over the next few years. So each school, we required a couple things. We said the principal has to be there. They can pick the teachers. They can pick the specialists they want. We said you need to have some support staff. It cannot just be the certificated people. That's typically who goes. The district staff had to come. Our coordinator of maintenance and operations is like, this isn't for me. I said, no, it absolutely is for you. Because when you're talking about inclusion or accessibility, what does the environment look like? Who's ordering our furniture? We had our bond program manager at the meetings. We had, everybody was there. Our chief business official was like, this isn't, I'm like, no, it is. Because you're going to help us figure out allocation of funds. So when we said everybody will be there, we meant everybody will be there. Clear your calendars. In our district staff, it was so many ahas about people saying, I hadn't thought about this as a person that supports people coming in for payroll or even the adult learners who might have diverse needs. It was such a mindset change as we continue to work through items. So again, day 1, we worked on our cultures, each school culture. So the schools work together. We worked on who we are and what do we actually believe in currently. So who were we as the district office? What does that look like? What does our district office look like from the exterior to the interior? How do we greet people? Do we have a sign out that, we actually ended up putting out a sign that says, you know, this is my home language, and somebody can point to it, and then we can call something called language links that has a milieu. You can have in all these different languages, to make all these things inviting and welcoming for anybody, including an ASL interpreter. So real live translation to help people come in. But also, what do we believe? What is the truth of what we believe of every student? And then diving into that. Do we believe that students can learn? Do we believe that in a year's worth of growth? We say we do. Do we believe that every child that comes into my room has a year's worth of growth opportunity? And what are we doing about that? And do we believe it in all the areas? Because when Matt talks about educating the whole child, it's not just academic. Actually, our RTII pyramid, if anybody wants it, is a 3x3 pyramid. It's not just academic, it's also social, emotional, and behavioral. So when we say a student gets a year's worth of growth, we believe in all three areas. And it's very important to us that kids are learning their behavior expectations and SEL expectations too. Day 2 was all about our policies. We looked at our data. Do our policies support our data, or are they harming our data? What barriers do we need to look at through our policies? What is our reality? What do we need to get rid of? What do we need to change? What do we need to add to be able to support? That was very important to us. What are we actually showing? Because at the end of the day, our data is really what is our proof. So that was something that was really important to us, and not just our high level dashboard data, but actually digging into our data. And we spent a lot of time on that. And we really dug deeply into cross-sectional data, intersectionality data, and across grade level data and site data. And then if one site was doing very well in an area, we had cross-section conversations. We looked at our Healthy Kids survey data, and we really just looked at belonging data too. What does it mean to feel like you belong? And day 3, what can we do going forward? We left that day, I think one of our bond program managers was ready to probably throw us out the window because we redid some of our architectural designs. We had a brand new entryway going into one of our schools, and we all said, we need to throw that design out. We need to go back to DSA. What was designed is not welcoming to our families. One of the main languages at this school is this. Why aren't we putting signs in this language? How can we change things from here? So we really, from that moment on, started to change so many practices right away. I think that school, from day 1, we started changing practices. The 3rd day, we were already thinking about what used to be called our master schedules. Now we call them our strategic schedules. Our principals were lining up to get their hands on with Thomas and Janelle and Kevin. Like, when can we meet about strategic schedules for next year? How can we figure out how to align all of our prep schedules and our grade level schedules so that we can have what we call win time, or like a universal access time, to be able to pull everybody, and nobody teaches new stuff. So we can do supporting time. How can we be able to do heterogeneous groupings and stuff like that, so that we can have students all be together and work together across fun activities like Maker Madness and items like that. So there were so many great things that we looked at for our practices to really just be able to remove barriers and also kind of shake things up. And teachers were excited, principals were excited. Sip and Thomas and Janelle, they jumped on a Zoom this week with one of our principals to be able to help plan for next year. We have 2 other schools that are begging for it right now too. So the ideas are endless. If you can dream it, we're doing it. It's pretty exciting. So we really looked at our policies, we looked at our practice, and what's really changing is our culture. And we couldn't do it without the shared leadership. So that was one of our biggest things. So we continued to just talk about the shared leadership through our unions, because a year ago, just in negotiations, our union was saying that special ed, this isn't working. We need more aides. We need more supports. We need to really look at special ed. This year in negotiations, special ed's not coming up. So the supports that we've put in, the conversations we've had, the language change we've had, really flipping to the positive conversations has supported and transformed the conversations. It's not saying it's not, we still don't have hard conversations, but it has started with the vision of really believing that students can learn and that every student deserves to be here. That the commitment to students and that everybody's gonna do the hard work, because in Burlingame, we believe that students can learn and that they deserve to be here in our classrooms. Trust in each other and trust in yourself. Trust that we're gonna fall, we're gonna fumble, but it's okay to tell the truth and say, wow, that did not work. I really did not do that well, but it's okay. We're gonna learn from it and try something different. Time, change doesn't happen overnight. Vulnerability and bravery to put ourselves out there and then to say like, hey, come see us, come visit us. Come talk to our teachers, come talk to our students. We're gonna let Mac talk and he's dying to tell a joke. So we're gonna let him tell a joke in a second. But we're open to it, but also asking for help. Kevin, Janelle, Thomas are constantly on our text threads and quickly answer when we're like, I don't know how to get out of this one. Or can you help me be a thought partner? And that is an amazing support. At the end of the day, it was a full community commitment. The bottom right is our 7 schools in the district office, and it's a puzzle piece that together we're in it. We're all in it together. Our trustees are behind it. Our trustees, our 5 seated trustees completely stood behind it. The whole leadership team giving to 3 days of learning and being a part of it. Asking questions from technology, again, to bond, to maintenance, to everybody saying like, wow, I now see myself as a part of this and this is what I contribute. And just everybody feeding up to the school district and remembering that we are one Burlingame. We are a part of this. And our teachers, our staff, I mean, they're the closest ones to our students. So what does that really look like? So that shared leadership component is what really changed the culture that was so important to us. But why is it important? At the end of the day, one of the things that's really important is the idea of in 1954, the US Supreme Court is.
Sorry, lunchtime's over.
I did not have my lunch.
It's okay, Mac, we'll get you
We'll
your
get-
lunch,
we'll
I
get you
promise
your
you.
lunch.
We'll get you a special lunch.
Okay.
In 1954, it's really important. The US Supreme Court actually issued the decision about Brown versus Board of Education, which rejected the doctrine of separate but equal, and holding that racially segregated public schools were inherently unequal and denied school children equal protection under the law in violation of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. But after Brown, Pennsylvania Association for Retarded Children versus the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, retarded students were excluded from schools, but the Mills case in Brown versus Education in the District of Columbia, exclusion of handicapped children from public schools was determined unconstitutional. Both cases used the holding of Brown versus Education. Separate but equal is unconstitutional. So again, I'm going to go back. That was 1954. In 1954, both cases said separate but equal is unconstitutional. It's 2025.
Thank you.
We need to keep moving. So to further the work, the next steps that Burlingame's working on, assessments for each and every. One of the things that came out of that 3rd day is if you're in California, you know that we have to have dyslexia screeners in place by the first day of school next year. We've done dyslexia screeners for the last 13 years, 3 times a year in Burlingame, and we're very proud of that. We're actually a leader for dyslexia in the area too. We have never screened our students that were in either what used to be called mild moderate or moderate severe, that's now ESN classes. Never. We skipped them. Guess what we did this year? We screened students. We moved a student completely out because of it. That's pretty sad to both Matt and I. That's changed. We realized that we were just skipping students because they were not receiving what we called screeners for all. That's one of our next steps. We're currently strategic planning at all grade levels for each and every student. We're reducing our opportunity gaps for each and every student by making and ensuring that we're working with our community partners, that our students can be successful, especially with some of our third-party partners, whether it be after-school party groups that support our students with daycare or even opportunities like cooking classes, so that our students are not missing out on opportunities, helping to raise them up by teaching them some of the opportunities that we're working on, including professional learning. We've increased our parent guardian engagement with each and every through our special education district advisory committee, our facility design and redesign for each and every student and their success, and thinking about what that looks like. Recruitment, support, and retention has really been important to us for each and every staff that we interview. It doesn't matter what position we're hiring them for. We make sure that there's a question with regards to supporting students. Every new hire orientation that we go into, especially at the beginning of the year, we ask about who's going to be teaching students with diverse needs in here. And when one or two people raise their hands, we're like, all of you raise your hands. Welcome to Burlingame. All of you teach all of everybody in here. So it's something that we start out with from the get-go. We work closely with our unions around it. We're very, very inclusive around our language and what we say, and we're very proud of all of that. Most importantly, to all of us, now in Burlingame, we say all means each and every student. Okay, Mac, it's your turn. You're gonna say what you want to say.
Okay, I got 2 jokes.
Okay.
All right.
Why was
Go ahead, start over.
why was the broom late to school?
Why was the broom late to school?
It overswept.
Oh.
Oh.
I asked Alexa how old you were. She started laughing.
That is great. Can you tell me what you love about Roosevelt?
I love that I made all my friends here.
Mm-hmm.
I just love everything about Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you what's your favorite class right now?
Miss Horan,
Miss Horan, yeah. What do you like about it?
her class is so beautiful, and the teacher is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Can you tell real quick what you told me when you walked in that you were learning right now?
I was learning in multiplication and division. I know all my 6s now.
All your
Great.
6s, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You are. That's great. All right. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
All right, let's see if they have any questions for us at the moment, okay?
Mhm.
Marla and Matt, there are a few questions that I've definitely saved for you. So one of the questions is from Michelle, and she asks what type of instructional models you guys use with your general education classroom, and how do you integrate ESL students in the gen ed classes?
Why don't you take that?
Yeah, so we do co-taught push-in. Our biggest thing is that we have, so in our district, we have RTII, like I spoke of. So we have our MTSS model again is we call it a 3x3. So it's tier 1 is our general ed teacher, tier 2 is our general ed teacher, tier 3A is specialist for general ed, and tier 3B is what we would consider students with IEPs. So our 3A is our RTII, also sometimes supports for students that are receiving ELD supports. Tier 3A for the most part is a push-in model. And tier 3B is also oftentimes a push-in model. We have some supports that are pull-out, but mostly we have push-in.
Yeah, that's been a giant step that we've taken in the last few years that we've insisted that all interventions become push-in.
Right.
Yeah.
Predominantly, our pullout is only when students need discrete teaching, that then they go to generalized supports in the classroom.
And how do you support your students who have mod severe needs in the gen ed classroom? What does that look like?
Totally individualized, because I mean, when you say their needs, it depends. Is it a behavioral need? Is it a need in math? It just, I mean, it's totally individualized based on what it could be. But I mean, the law says you have to start in the general ed class and then remove from there. You don't start in a special day class and then push in. So when you think of it from a positive perspective, I think it's really, when can they be in there? What does that look like? And what does the support look like in there? And it doesn't mean you're in the back of the room at a table.
Right. Yeah,
So-
it came with a lot of, like we said, a lot of trust and time, and really working with our staff. And, you know, we really believe in Burlingame, and I think probably every, you know, this isn't saying something really out there, is that all teachers get into this business because they really believe in
Right.
doing the good work. And certainly the teachers in Burlingame believe that. They just need the time and the tools and the confidence to do this work. And that's what we found. We gave them the time and the expectation, this will happen. And we've been strong to that, because there's times when they say we need to open up, go back, you know, we need to go backwards, and we tell them quite clearly we're not, to the point where I don't know if that even gets asked anymore. But in order to do that, though, we need to then provide, no, we'll give you the tools and we'll give you some time. And that's where we started working with supporting inclusive practices and working on our UDL strategies, and making sure that we are actually giving them time to plan for all your students, much you would do for any student in your class. All the students need to be planned for. So if you know the student has an issue, if they see a picture of owls, well, then you're going to do, and this story has a picture of an owl in it, then we need to adjust that, that's a real story. But yeah.
I would also say, Thomas, remember that this isn't 32 kids in a class and I'm giving them 4 more kids.
Right.
These kids are
Yes.
rostered in their class.
Right.
These are their students,
They're
right?
responsible.
They help with the report cards. They are their general ed student. They are their students for like field trips. These are their students. They're their students. They are the teacher that goes to the IEPs. So I think that's also gives them some ownership, right? So, I have to tell you, we have a teacher actually on this campus, on Mac's campus. It was one of Mac's teachers who was so excited, just ran up to me in the street a couple of days ago when I was here doing something, to tell me about one of the students that had been and you know, historically probably would have been kept out, honestly, in a special day class. Runs up to me and she's like, Marla, this kiddo just skyrocketed in reading and you're never gonna believe it. And everybody was so excited for the amount of growth in his reading group, right? And so I think what you'll tend to find is that when you have even just one area, the teachers start to get this like, hey, check me out, right? So it is something that we see, some of those little wins, and then you just start to hear it around.
Yeah.
And again, I really want to say it is not without hard times every once in a while, and it is not without some hiccups in the road. But I think when those happen, it is also showing up. I mean, as the superintendent of the school district, I roll in. I make it a priority to go to trainings. Matt makes it a priority to go to trainings as now the assistant superintendent. But we show up and we make it a priority to say, this is the Burlingame standard. This is the Burlingame expectation. If you want a teacher, if you want to be a part of our community and our lives, this is our culture, because each and every student is Burlingame.
And yeah, and I think that also, even to go even broader, how it's become, is that support from our board of trustees and
Right.
support from our community. And it's just, again, consistent messaging and explaining our whys have been invaluable to everyone. So.
And I'm going to tell you that if our students weren't here in the classroom, the other 23 kids are going to ask where they are,
Yeah,
and the
sure.
parents are going to ask, hey, what happened to Daisy? What happened? You know, what happened to the other parents? What happened to the other kids? They're going to show up and ask too.
Yeah, it's so powerful having teachers have co-ownership and ownership of the students in the classroom, and it's the students' classroom. We have some time for a few more, maybe 1 or 2, if you guys don't mind. So I'm going to try to pick the best one, but they're all good. Stacy asked, she'd just love to hear any suggestions that you guys have to make the general education curriculum just more meaningful for students, especially for students with disabilities.
Yeah, great question. So there are some curriculums that you can purchase that you can pick a story that you can put in your students' reading level and it'll level it out. So you can have students be able to enjoy similar reading stories with different reading levels within the classroom. That's something that's huge. We have, as a district, have gone through our 4 main adoptions in the last 5 years. So luckily we have new curriculum that a lot of it does that. We've also had to supplant some things for some of our students that have similar things to be able to do it.
Well, yeah, I would just say again, going back to giving that time and that expectation. At Burlingame, we really have an expectation that our teachers will be the highest of professionals and will be thinking about these kind of things all the time. How do I supplement this material? How do I bring in other things to help all my students? And yes, Marla's correct. The curriculums that we adopted have plenty of resources for all of that. And certainly we could share those with whomever would want those. But I think it also goes back to just that expectation and giving them the time and the space, teachers, I mean, to make sure you're planning, this is UDL strategies, you know, make sure we're planning for all.
Right. Start with what you want them to learn and backwards map from
Exactly. And what are your speed bumps?
there.
And then I'll make this the last question, and it's a good one. There's a lot of teachers in the meeting. What's something you think is important for teachers to know about making classrooms a place that's similar to the classrooms you have at Burlingame?
That's something I want teachers to know. I would say the first thing I would want teachers to do is sit down with students and do empathy interviews. If you sit down with a student or a family that's ever been othered and hear their story, you'll never do it. Because if you knew my family story, if you listen to Daisy's story, I think that's probably one of the most powerful tools that our community actually went through. SIP actually, that's one of the first things that SIP did for homework for us when we did the academies is they had each school go back and do empathy interviews with their school. And our teachers came back. I mean, our teachers in the academy every day and through the interviews came back in tears.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of vulnerability in there. And I think to the teachers in here, just being on this conference means that you are already bought in. And I think as you are bought in, means that you start to open your eyes to everything and start looking at everything in your world as far as what are hindrances and what are things that are bringing people in and what are things that aren't. From everything from the building to everything from your school, your classroom, to the lessons you're teaching, making sure that you're trying to capture all of it. And it's hard. We all get it. But I would tell you to just keep, moving forward with it and know that you're doing the right work.
My board, when I got hired, bought me a watercolor because one of my famous sayings is, how do we get to yes? And just stick with it. How do we get to yes? How do we get there? How do we get to yes?
Find a group, find your fellow advocates. That's what we were trying to build with the SIP Academy was these are the people in the room that are going to support with you. We're going to walk together on this. And the more and that just starts to build out.
Find your people.
Yep.